most of us coming back now from our breakout sessions. I hope it was useful for you all. And we might as well kick off with our roundup as people come back in. Hopefully people will be able to see it. And I can see immediately David Schofield, fortunately, there. David, you were one of the hosts of one of the breakout sessions. Perhaps you could give us a little wrap-up of what you discussed while you were away from the main forum here.
Sure. Well, thank you, John. We spent some time talking about flexibility and won't go into specific details. Perhaps it wouldn't be quite fair of some of the companies that were raising this, but if I could share that we had some mixed approaches in that big multinational with people who had to have, if you like, boots on the ground in parts of the world, including countries like Malawi, Tanzania, difficult locations. To make those businesses operate efficiently, they've got to make sure that those boots are back on the ground if they're not on the ground. So they're adopting a policy which calls for people to, if you like, resume their assignments fairly promptly and not being given too much choice in that matter. That perhaps simplifies it, but it's a thrust to get people back to work. Other organisations, perhaps with smaller assignee populations, are able to be more to be more flexible and to allow people to work from home, but not necessarily from home, say if you're based in London, but it could be a third location if that works for the business. So interesting takes on flexibility. Some organisations saying, well, we need to get this business up and running and we need to have you in places X and Y, others more flexible. I'll pause there, John, and let my colleagues from other groups give some feedback. We said a lot more, but that's all I've got time for.
Okay, thank you, David. Well, let's bring in Jose. Jose, you were one of the other hosts. What happened in your breakout session of note?
Thanks, John. Yeah, so had a really good conversation, I think, with a couple of the large multinationals that were just running through some of their kind of hot issues. I think a lot of it is around, probably quite a lot of pressure from HR and the business on some of the flexible working arrangements, and a feeling that sometimes mobility, because we covered it from let's call it a broader perspective, often we're seen as perhaps the bad guys in some respect. But I think, that's an important point. And one of the other external partners was saying that actually it's important not to rush into decisions around new policies and supporting, the ways of working, which I think we all want to as much as we can with the right mindset, but actually it's taking a step back, reflecting what's right for the organisation, understanding the longer term implications. I think that was an interesting point that was made as well. One of the other kind of large multinationals was saying around probably a bit of surprise at the shift of global mobility and the role of global mobility over the last few weeks, but some real upside to getting a seat at the table and really providing a lot of strategic input and leadership. And it was a feeling that actually it's about staying at the table now, using this as an opportunity to continue to add lots and lots of useful value and input as we go through the processes.
Thank you very much, Jose. That's great. Andy, you were the final host there. Let me bring you in. What did you see of note in your breakout session?
So I'll keep it very brief. I mean, I think in our session, I guess I could summarise it by saying that people feel a bit kind of caught in the kind of firing line in terms of the problems that we're facing and solutionising around that. And by that we mean GM are often seen as people that can find creative solutions around the kind of the standard models, and yet with the sort of left and the right hand tied behind the back, be it if you're US based, the kind of Trump administration and their kind of make it up as you go along executive instructions, or the kind of restrictions implemented purely on the back of COVID, that ability to provide solutions is really limited. And yet, more than ever, per Jose's point, GM are a go-to in terms of what is the answer. How do we move people? How do we use mobility to engage people that are stranded or people that can't engage with their teams because of remote working? So actually, it was quite a lot of kind of just sort of allowing kind of the people talking to kind of vent a bit and talk about the challenges. We didn't really come up with a lot of the solutions, but I think some of the solutions have probably been formulated through the other part of this discussion, and I hope that was useful. One thing that was suggested was I want to talk about how GM teams and what's the well-being of GM teams and wellness within it, because actually they're getting it from all angles at the moment, and their usual mechanism through which they achieve, I guess, delivery of business objectives is not achievable, and that in itself could be causing stress within teams. So sort of provocative question rather than having the answer, but something we should all watch out for.